What's good, fellow outcasts and other rejects? Welcome to WTC, the Anime Outcast. First off, if you are new here, we upload anime what is based around My Hero and other shows alike. Secondly, did you know 80% of our audience is not subscribed? So in order for us to continue to make good content, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Now without further ado, let's get into the video. With no other option, the two remaining heroes fight monstrous Overhaul from a distance. Izuku blasts him with his optical blast with Eye Guy, with Tetrax using his wide range of gadgets to do damage. If the Diamond Man were to use his superpower, he would only give the Mock Plague Doctor more resources to work with. Night Eye still stands his ground, using his weaponized stance against the four-eyed creature, but both of his students find something weird about how he's fighting, as if something possessed the Slender Man. I must see it! The passionate hero roars as he charges close to the Yakuza abomination. This leaves the only two powered fighters unable to attack, as they would hurt Mirai more than Chisaki. But this leads Mirai down a path of suicide, as he bites out more than he can chew while fighting the Yakuza King. Overhaul sneaks one of his extra arms to the ground, causing spikes to shoot out of the ground. With his foresight ability activated before its erasure, he can always see this very moment. Though no matter how hard he tries to avoid it, fate would always find a way to set the world back on a path it planned out, leading to multiple pieces of spiked concrete lodged in his stomach. The heroes fall silent as Sasuke's screams bounce around the concrete tomb. See, Eri, this is the effect you have on people. No one would have to die if you never tried to escape, the horrific villain declared as his eyes lock on her and Mirio. The mass shifter throat tightens, despair spiraling in the eyes, and all words leave his mottled head as if a mind struggles to catch up. The injured girl takes a step forward, a voice in her head telling her to end it and stop the suffering of these men who tried to save her. But shouting from the other end of the room causes her to freeze. Deku, go your fire guy! The Explosion Lord demands from the other side of the room as he prepares an item from his utility belt. Without another word, the Changeling understands the plan and switches to Sakurajima. Then Katsuki hurls one of his grenades at Overhaul with the Pyronite triggering it to explode mid-air with a well-placed fireball. As the impact hits, the fusion of flesh and stones covered in a thick ashy cloud obscuring the multiple eyes. With his quirk momentarily back, the supercharged blonde fuels his unburnt arm with a little too much of one for all. But he uses his scarred power to deliver a single punch with enough force to whip away the ash and send the monster into the wall across from him. This leaves a mark on the blonde bombarder with a horrific purple blemishes crawling up his knuckle and forearm, though it's still somehow movable. But as the dust and air settle around after the blow, an undamaged Overhaul walks away from the wall with a perfectly sized indent behind him. What? The scarred grenade blurts out, eyes wide as the attack seemed useless. Bakugo roughly estimates this one-for-all output to be around 40%, yet it's had the effect of 10%. Though that's when Overhaul gives something away as one of his mangled arms begin to shake unnaturally. He can heal himself. We gotta knock him out with one hit, the living flamethrower calls out as he flies to his classmate's side. Or keep beating the shit out of him until he doesn't have enough stamina to rebuild himself, the Atomic Blonde exclaims back, though both would have harder said than done. As his eyes once again cleared, the mutant monster negates all quirks in the area once again. The two classmates act fast, redoing the same strategy from before by trying to obscure the Yakuza Overlord's vision. But as he had done with Mirio, Kai wises with each attempt. For example, when making the exact same move, the faux extra might quickly backpedals away from the grenade, or if it was a wall of flames put into his way by the Pyronite, he would quickly extinguish it by breaking and rebuilding the ground it's on. But with each attempt, they whittled down the mutant crime lord. As the fighting continues, the whir of the hoverboard echoes against the concrete walls. Living up to his fake hero name, Tetrax flies around the makeshift arena, taking the attention of Overhaul away from the two teams. Using the extra speed, the Diamond Hero slips past the fusion creature to deliver quick, successive jabs. The last Petra Sapien gets numerous hits off when Tetrax is flying above the monster, hoping to ground pound like attack, but forces him to abandon the hoverboard. You fight a little too well for someone whose quirk is gone, shouts Chisaki as he dismantles the board, adding its mass to his own. Tetrax lands a few feet away, one of his knees hitting the ground first. I'm not defined by my powers. I've taken down targets with world-shattering abilities far worse than yours, retorts the diamond-skinned alien, as he prepares another gadget behind his back. Though he still has access to his natural powers, they would only cause more trouble, as stated before. Please. That's what they all say. The villain scoffs as the two stone-infused arms advance toward the broken floor. But before he could make contact, the alien hero throws his ready device. A silver disc travels swiftly through the air, landing at the feet of Kai before letting out a deafening sonic blast. The four-arm fusion topples backwards from the attack, barely finding his footing, giving Tetrax the perfect opportunity to attack. He rushes close and morphs his fist into a blade. The former bounty hunter attempts to slash at Chisaki, only for him to narrowly dodge and kick him away. Before he could react, the ground below him shattered as a stone pillar crashed him into the ceiling, crushing him. Then, Kai jumped from the roof, whilst the same happened in reverse. Another stone battering ram broke through the roof, smashing him to the ground. The unbreakable hero slowly rises, his armor in ruins. His shoulder pads are broken off, his utility barely clings onto him, and the left part of his helmet is completely gone. All restraint leaves Tetrax as his armor peels back from his hands, and he starts shooting crystals at his enemy. The diamond shards tear through the bloody crimson arms of Overhaul, but allow him to take one knee, and then begin changing the ground. A large barrage of moving concrete collides with the plumber, sending him far into the wall behind him and taking him out of the fight. This is your last chance, girl! It's their life or yours! Overhaul declares, giving the child an ultimatum. With his leg injured, all Mirio could do was reach for the girl as she runs off in an attempt to sacrifice herself for the heroes. But the three remaining rescuers can only watch, as well as her adoptive father grabs Eri with his borrowed arms. The remaining heroes freeze, the thought of loss emanating between them. Without a warning, a large mess of black and red comes crashing down from the streets above. The damage is near unfathomable for Izuku, as the whole room shakes from its force expansion. But as the vision stables, he makes out Ryuku and the top of the Katsuki beating him to a bloody pulp. With a view of the blue open sky, the monstrous leader uses his own quirk to create a platform, rising him and Eri up to the impromptu exit. But with his flames on edge of turning blue, Sakurajima flies into the air to chase after them. Even though his limbs are pure magma, the alien team stretches out his arm, just hoping for the scared child to reach back. But as he inches closer, he's engulfed by a red flash. It's beat down out of his racing his mind. While in midair, the supposedly cursed girl sees the eyes of human Izuku. She sees many things inside them: hope, desperation, and passion. Something sparks within Eri, causing her innate ability to activate. Her unique time-based power splits the fused monstrosity into 3 separate parts, causing his group to slip. As the formerly hopeless girl reaches out one last time, her tiny hand gets inches away from the changeling's watch, bright yellow energy jumping out of the device. Before he could take her hand, a black and orange blur cuts past him, snatching Eri and rocketing into the sky. This leaves Deku free-falling, speechless about what just happened. Though it would probably be best that someone else got to Eri, as he's powerless to stop them from both falling to their deaths. Though the dragon form Ririko does manage to use her wing like a trampoline for the shapeshifter, the dragoness then rolls the student onto the ground from the membrane. As the Omni-Hero stands up, his back screams in pain from the fall, but Izuku pushes past the pain to regroup with the remaining heroes. him, the Draconic Ryuk, and the floating down Uraraka crowd around the dying Night Eye. All the group can do is watch as Chisaki fuses with another of his underlings to pursue Eri. Now, even more horrific abomination, the kaiju-like Overhaul crawls out of the crater. Without a second thought, Izuku places his hand on his watch, then takes a few steps away from the hero. Don't try it. Your support item won't recharge in time, the fading Night Eye declares as Uraraka props him up to look at the team. This gets a dirty look from the changeling as he yells at the injured pro, saying he can't just stand like this. Images of Hisu and the other calamities cycle through his head. From here, you'll start slamming your watch, but that won't change its red state. As for the other two, Bakugo will be killed for his recklessness, and Chisaki will escape with Eri. This is the future I have foreseen and can't be changed. Mirai mutters as he turns his attention to the ocean blue sky, saddened that even in his final moments, he still has to explain the core truth of his quirk. Funny, I know a guy just like you. He'd say the exact opposite. The future is never set in stone. It's always changing! Izuku snaps back, with Sasuke's head jolting down to see his sudden outburst. Night Eye is left speechless, seeing the Omnitrix emitting a green mist as yellow energy dances around it briefly. That power. The girl. She's key. The man softly says as the metamorph runs off and jumps into the air to become his heaviest hitter. Back up on the surface, Bakugo stares at the monstrous overhaul with disgust. Chisaki made a complete regression of Japanese villain archetype standing before one-for-all wielder with his kaiju form.
Why can't any of you see? You heroes, a sickness in your mind. It will be the death of us all. You're not saving anyone.
Overhaul howls from of his throne of flesh and stone, glaring at one of the last standing heroes in front of him. Even now, he stays true to his goal. Though he basks in the shadow of a much greater foe, the Explosion King stands his ground, prepared to fight the mangled monster. Before anyone could attack, even more immense darkness looms over them, causing Katsuki to crack a smile. Chisaki turns around, his eyes unnaturally wide as he gazes onto another titan-like being, plus Ultra.
You... Why don't you just stay down and rot?
The fusion monster snarls, recognizing the massive gray badge proudly placed on his chest. The symbol plagued him. With the final hurdle in his way, the monstrous Kai jumped straight to action. One of his many brick-red hands attached itself to a nearby empty building, breaking it down and turning it into a horde of bladed pillars. As the converted terrain erupts toward the living Toku reference, he attempts to block while making an X shape with his arms, but this has an unusual effect on the Tokasta. Mint green energy crackles around him, striking him against the ground like lightning. Then, as the barrage of building parts get meters away, a brief yet powerful beam of energy emits from the arms, disintegrating the attack.
I can do that?
The skyscraper-sized hero thinks to himself. He looks at the bladed forearms as they smoke across the otherworldly energy. Izuku then looks back at Chisaki, seeing a perfectly circular part of the monster's body gone. The massive monstrous slams his fist into the ground, attempting to repair the damage, only for an intense burning sensation to wash against his back. Bakugo then shoots into the air, following up his back attack with more explosions. The mission target has seemingly vanished from Overhaul's view, giving the living howitzer no restrictions. As the battle rages overhead, the raid members still in the compound find themselves in a new predicament. Shards of road and piping start falling upon the two heroines and Night Eye. Ryoko tries to shield them with her wings, but the debris would be too much for her to handle without dropping it.
Watch out!
Hoverbird shouts as he springs to life. He casts a diamond canopy over the three, which fares much better than the dragon hero. Uraraka turns to look at her savior as he gets to his feet, only to see a familiar, yet different face. With Tetrax's visor previously damaged by Chisaki, it reveals the left side of his teal face. The Gravity Girl's gaze switches between the crystal barrier and the man as she makes an otherworldly connection. Thanks again to the Outcasts and Rejects for watching till the end of the video. If this video gets 80 likes in 2 weeks, we'll continue the series. Other than that, if you have any questions about the series or channel, sound off in the comments or feel free to join our Discord. Thanks.